Great. Thanks for that explanation, Craig. We have one last question from Ron, and he says, I'm not a very patient person. Thus, I'm anxious to grow my business quickly. This causes me to evaluate things more optimistically than perhaps is realistic. Please talk a little bit about growing patiently.
Yeah, that's go ahead. Go ahead, April.
Oh, I was just going to say I have to chuckle because I'm not a patient person either. So it's funny that I put seeds in the ground and wait 8 to 10 to 12 months for them to to develop. But I guess one thing I would say is that when we put together our plan for the year, you know, we estimate to the best of our ability what we think or budget where we're going to spend certain money, and we budget what we think our revenue is going to be. And then at the bottom, it's nice because that's on one spreadsheet in Excel, and at the bottom of that, I do a plus and a minus, which is, okay, let's look at worst case and best case scenario. And if you know inherently that you are an overly optimistic or positive person, you might want to take your initial analysis that you run and budgeted and planned, and just reduce your revenue by 10% or 5% or whatever you think might be a good margin of error, and then see if your plan still works on the expense side, and think about, well, what would I do or how would I make it work if my revenue wasn't quite as high as I think it might be. And that's one way to kind of buffer against the unknown. I mean, you're kind of looking into a crystal ball in some respects in terms of planning out for 12 months what things are going to look like. But that's a really good way that I found to kind of look at things from a different perspective and say, okay, well, that's one scenario, but what might it be like if it's 10 or 15% reduced from that, or 10 or 15% above that? And I found that to be pretty good in tempering that over optimism and impatience, so to speak. Does that help?
I think that was a good clarification. Ron says that yes, it does help. And
one other area that I just want to
okay.
add one thing to that is one area you can also look at is that if you can use the gross profit to do that same thing, and you do a gross profit analysis, and you look at what item is the most likely, at least under your control, I would say, and you adjust that amount based on, you fluctuate that amount, maybe like Apple say maybe 10 or 5 to 10%. And then that looks at the risk level, and different people are willing to take different levels of risk. And by jumping, going too fast, you're taking probably on a higher level of risk. And different people, like I say, different people are willing to take different levels of risk. So that is falls back on your whole context and how much risk you're willing to take as you move ahead. And the gross profit analysis, we'll talk about that a little bit more next week of how to use it for the risk analysis process for doing the risk analysis as well.
Okay, thank you, Craig. I want to go ahead and ask one last question, and then we'll wrap up our webinar for this evening. Claire asks, expenses related to annual maintenance of farm infrastructure, feed, fertilizer, seed, etc., are these wealth generating or maintenance?
Those would be maintenance expenses because they're essentially maintaining the current level of income. They're not providing new source of income. I mean, they're key to they're important because you got to maintain the equipment in order to maintain the existing level of income. But they would be maintenance expenses.
Okay, thanks, Craig. And Ron says thanks to you as well for answering his questions. So I'd like to go ahead and thank Craig and April for a wonderful presentation this evening, and say that there was a lot of information that was shared today, and this webinar will be available on the course website so that you can watch it again. So I'll just ask you to change the slides for me if that's okay, Craig.
Sure.
Okay.
I guess that's going on. Just if you need to get a hold of me or the source of information.
Okay, great. Thank you. And just so you all know, the handout with tonight's slides is posted on the course website, so you can go there and you have both April and Craig's contact information. And Craig is also going to get access to the website so he can look at the discussion forums and see how you're sharing around all these topics and assignments. So this week, please take some time to do the webinar survey. That's really helpful for us for improving the presentations next time we offer the course and actually next week. So if you'll take a few minutes to do that, we'll definitely appreciate it, and we'll share it with our presenters and the course organizers. Tomorrow, the webinar will be posted on the course Moodle website. Again, if you have not created an account on that website, please do so and let me know so I can give you access to the course website. In terms of the discussion forums, in your assignments, there's different topics that I'm asking you to speak to and share. And so there's a discussion forum for each of those topics. And so you'll see that on week 1 and week 2. And if you can post within those topics, that really makes it a lot easier for us to follow the conversation. And thanks to all of you who are conversing with one another on the course website. I am reading those posts, and it's really great to see all the conversation and sharing that's happening. So please keep that up. So on Friday, the week 3 reading and other assignments will be posted, and you'll also receive the registration for the week 3 webinar. Our week 3 topic is enterprise assessment and record keeping, and our speakers are going to be Diane Green, Craig Madsen, and Barbara Leachman from the Small Business Development Center. Next slide, please. So thank you again for participating in the webinar tonight. Please take a moment to complete the survey. It's going to launch automatically on your computer right after the webinar. And just a final note to Craig and April, Ron has posted that the sound of hands are clapping. So thank you all and have a great night.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.